Welcome to Connecting with Teens. Bernardo here. And if you're looking for more strategies to be more patient with your teen, you've come to the right place, as Lindsey at Missheard Media is going to enlighten us on some ways that work for her. Welcome to Connecting with Teens. Bernardo here, and I am joined by Lindsey at Missheard Media. Lindsey, hello. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Thank you, and thank you for having me.
What are you doing on Instagram right now? How's that going?
It's going really well, actually. Today I just post how we make choices every day, and our future isn't necessarily determined by the person that we are right now.
That's exactly what drew me in, was that raw honesty, but from a parent's perspective, right? A lot of parents out there are dealing with high schoolers right now that don't have an identity or are struggling with that identity. What do you recommend?
Well, first of all, I think all teenagers, even a lot of adults, struggle with their identity. And so if a parent is looking at their teenager and feeling like they're really struggling, everybody has that struggle. And some of it is just patience, which I know is not the advice that you're looking for. But part of it is patience, right? Young people are navigating a world that looks very different than the one that you and I navigated as teenagers, that their brains are still growing and developing very, very rapidly in a very short amount of time. And they're doing this in a time where they're constantly pressured to look, act, think, feel, and like be a certain way. And this pressure is all the time and it's constant. And it's even, when they're in bed, like looking at their phone, or like when they walk outside and see a billboard or a magazine, like it's just nonstop. And so I remember all of those things. I'm like, oh, right. They're dealing with a lot. Their brains are changing, their bodies are changing, everything is changing, everything is really big. And in those moments where I'm like, right, patience. That is where I find patience for young people, when I'm like, why are you doing it? Like, why are you doing this thing that is clearly like not the thing that I think you should be doing?
Having that perspective of where they're coming from and what they're dealing with, and that they're not fully developed, I think that definitely helps with that patience factor.
And another thing that parents can do to kind of help their child kind of discover their identity is to really support them in their hobbies and interests. And it doesn't really matter what those hobbies or interests are, as long as they're healthy, right? And so it's funny because I hear parents say like, oh, well, my kid's, really into sports now. I don't know anything about sports, so I just like let them go be sporty. No, go with them. Like, go with them and be sporty. Like, go to their games, go to their practices, ask them questions about what they like, what they're enjoying, what they don't like, what they would do differently if they were the coach. Like, really celebrating the things that they are enjoying and engaging them from a place of genuine curiosity is really going to help them feel more confident in who they are and who they're becoming. I feel like I always remind parents, what was it like for you? Like when you were 12, when you were 13, when you were 16, like what was that like for you? What did you struggle with? And a lot of times it's very similar to the things that young people are struggling with today. It just looks a little different because we have like social media and like these things that are connected to us all the time. But
all the time,
right, it changes the conversation, but it doesn't necessarily make it totally unique. So we're still having the same struggles, which I think for parents is really helpful to remember that like we were there too and we made it through more or less okay.
more or less.
More or less okay.
And that's good to know too, right? We do have a huge job as parents, but in the end, eventually they are going to be okay.
So I actually have an email that is just for parents where I talk about things like mental health. It goes out monthly, and it's like a really in-depth look at unique struggles that teenagers are facing right now and different things that we as adults can do to kind of help guide them.
Well, I love your strategies. And like I mentioned, your Instagram page is just full of emotion. Thank you for your time, Lindsey. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much.